And boom. All right, we're live. All right. So,
Right.
welcome everyone. Thank you for watching. I am here with my good friend Martin. I'm not sure which side you're seeing. Hopefully, here, right? And he's the founder of Real Talk Lifeline, as well as a friend of mine who co-facilitates in Lifekind. So, he's a life coach, right? Or do you have any other particular title?
Uh, it's you can just call me Martin because like your topic, I'm just trying to figure life
Yeah,
out.
chill. Yeah,
Yeah, chill, chill.
yeah. So tonight we're just gonna be talking about red flags. And for those of you watching, we want to know where you're watching from. If you're watching from Iloilo, type Iloilo, Manila, Manila, and this is just gonna be very, very chill. Okay. So yun lang. So Martin, let's open the question. No?
Yeah,
People have different definitions of red flags. So what is a red flag for you, man?
a red flag. Okay, for me, a quick answer I would give is it's kind of like a warning sign. Uh, that could lead to something very detrimental. So it's like a for me like it's a cautionary tale. For example, super quick sharing. I won't go so deep and long into it. Let's say I was in a relationship and it kind of ended maybe not the best way it could have, and it was many years, and then I didn't know what mental emotional health was, uh, anxiety, depression. So it affected my life after. I wasn't aware of it at first, and then for many years up to now, it still affects my life. So that one is kind of like a cautionary tale, something you might not want to happen to you. So that's I would call that a red flag. Also, could be also for money, running out, making wrong decisions. It could be for
Mm.
business. It could be for career, something like that. And last thing I can say about red flags is I find them very useful. Yun. Hello from Manila. Yeah, we're here. I'm here in Manila though. Chris, you're at
In Iloilo, yeah.
Iloilo. Okay. So yeah, so a red flag for me is very useful. If we turn it into like a warning sign, like an early warning device, or something that can lead us to a lesson or stay out of trouble, something like that. Yeah. So back to
Yeah,
you.
interesting, man. And I agree. Sometimes ano tawag dito? There's what you call ignoring the call, right? People who constantly don't find themselves heeding the warnings always end up with bigger red flags up until they can't ignore it anymore. For me, what does a red flag look like, or what is a red flag for me? A red flag is something exciting, mainly because I'm very chaotic. So, and when I'm bored, I look for problems. Joke lang. Um, Not really a joke, but uh, you know, uh,
Can be a
but
good thing.
yeah, it's not really a joke. Pero at the same time, and the reason why is that I separate myself from the outcome of what that red flag is. Meaning, for sometimes kasi, um, especially when you work on yourself a lot, when you're what's the word I'm looking for? When you're dealing with also people every single day, sometimes you also can't help yourself but see red flags everywhere. And sometimes it doesn't just mean you, right? You see red flags in your friends, red flags in your coworkers, red flags in your clients. Um, and for me, it just helps me discern, right? What the heck am I gonna do after this, right? Does that mean that I have to cut relationships agad, diba? Not necessarily, um, but it does help. So the topic for tonight is red flags and what they mean if you have life figured
Yeah.
out. Okay. And the reason why I say it like that is because for a lot of people, and you probably tell people this advice then, right? Know your boundaries. And red flags are one of the best ways for you to measure your boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Pero there also comes a time where red flags should also be seen. And feel free to jump in, man, whenever there's a tag. So I'm
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
also having trouble processing my head. Um, it could also mean very differently for a lot of people. For example, in my case, when I was starting out in business, one of the reasons why I am privileged to have the ideal lifestyle of every 25-year-old, 26-year-old dreamed of when they were young, is because someone was willing to ignore my red flags and allow me to make mistakes and actually, and grow from that, right? So there was actually a time in my life where someone deemed my red flags, um, what's the word I'm looking for, less less damaging than my personal potential. So I had that privilege, and that enabled me to fail early, make mistakes early, and in turn pick myself up early. You know, so yeah. Any thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I don't know if we're kind of opposites on that because that's a good thing what you shared. Growing up, I don't know where I picked it up, if it was just subconscious programming, what I observed with my dad growing up, but or school, I felt like I wasn't allowed to make mistakes. So if I was wrong, it's like you fail. You're the grade, right? You're a failure. You can't make a mistake, right? You can't get it wrong, something like that. So it's only later in my life because I'm 35 already, 35 years old, and then I started taking my own personal development path in 2018. So that's just 4 years ago. So someone someone can say, did anyone support that decision? Not really. Like I used my own life savings. Some of my colleagues would even say, because it was, very personal to share. Some of them would even say, "You're a fool," like for spending that much money like that. And again, nothing but love for these other people. It's allowing myself to make mistakes in the more recent years. The thing with the
Mm.
red flag that you learn from your mentor is it said they allowed you to make mistakes and then you were able to learn from it. So what I don't like is if there's a red flag, I make a mistake, but then I don't learn the lesson.
Oh yeah.
So that one sucks. So it's like like where a person can get stuck or they can get in that vicious cycle, like the downward spiral, if the red flags keep coming and then they still don't know how to navigate or handle it next time. So this one's super quick recent example. Because I stopped gaming for a bit. There's this tower defense game called Tower Swap, probably like a week ago or some days ago. So
I love
there
tower
were two
defense. Yeah.
days in a row, man, where I played it on the laptop. It didn't work anymore. The browser. I downloaded it on my phone. I was playing it from evening to like 5 a.m., evening to 6 a.m. till the sun rose up. And the red flag I started to feel was, this is not good anymore. Like, I'm getting tired. What if I have appointments? It's taking up my time. It's draining. My body also started to feel like atrophy. Like, if you haven't exercised in 5 days, it's like eating itself up. So red flags usually come from experience or awareness. Because the first time I got into video games when I was a kid, Super Nintendo, like PlayStation, whatever, it's man, I didn't know this. It's like the equivalent of an addict. Like it's very similar to like crack or I don't know
Yeah.
whatever addiction you get into because you're hooked on it like nonstop to the point.
Dopamine.
yeah, you won't eat, you won't do other things like that, and you'd wonder, like, why do I keep pressing the play button, restart, even though I'm not thinking consciously anymore. So yeah, the red flags help me snap out of it. But then, as you said, some people ignore, or they don't see the red flag until someone helps them, which is what I hope the live would do. Help
Yeah.
people see the
Are,
red
is
flag.
is this live helpful so far? Type yes in the comments if it's been helpful.
And feel free
Feel
to
free to
type in
ask
the
us
chat.
questions.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're going through a recent red flag. It's all that is. It's like a warning in life. Like, if I don't do this, then something bad can happen. So another quick sharing, and then I'll go back to you, Chris. Is
Sure,
like,
sure.
yeah, I'm 35. I've lived with my parents my whole life so far, meaning I haven't moved out. I haven't migrated. I haven't transferred residence to work somewhere like that. Even college, I'd come home every day. So the red flag I'm getting at this point is independence. If I don't learn the lesson right, my parents are turning 70 soon. So what if they're gone, right? And some of them younger, they're gone even
Yeah.
sooner, right? So how would I handle that? Do I even know how much the household expenses, the monthly expenses are? Because who's gonna pay for that, right? And can you handle it? And then, yeah, it's for me. It's the red flag there is learned helplessness. So I kind of got that lesson from Brian Tracy. Like, he had this mini seminar I was listening to, like an hour, and he said that we are like humans. We can learn to be helpless from just one experience. That's
Boom.
how powerful like a red flag could be. Like, it could destroy or debilitate a person because they don't know how to do it. Like, they don't know how to do a relationship. They don't know how to. This is my challenge. I think this is why we're opposites. My challenge is actually earning income. Now, if it comes to managing the money, like being Koreeps, like super Koreepot, or saving and stuff, I got that, man. Like, I could do that all day, and I don't mind it. It's not painful. I actually enjoy it.
We enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, cause I don't want to run out of money. Like, that was part of my programming growing up. So my one of my red flags is that's one side of it, managing money. The other side is how to earn the money or the income. So some people naman, they have that, they know how to earn money, they know how to earn a lot, big money. But
But
for
they
some
don't know how to.
reason, every month their bank account is like almost zero. It's like, where the hell's the money going? So I'm the opposite. So ideally have both, but the red flag could help you or me, right? With that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I think-
people in the chat, if you're watching the replay, feel free to share also something you're going through similar.
Yeah, man. And thanks for sharing that. Um,
Hmm.
and yung sa akin din eh, I'm very compelled to one of the biggest red flags that I had to face lately was, and imagine this, I actually spent um I spent 8 years maybe of my life. That means 8 years of my early 20s, building a business for people, right? Um, and one of the biggest red flags that I saw in the past few months is like, holy crap, whatever you're building, whatever I was building was maybe the Philippines is not ready for it. You know, there's a huge red flag that um, a lot of the effort that I've spent 8 years working on might crumble down because, well, the Philippines is not ready. Um, and for context, my goal is to change the way business and work is done in this country. So to the point where Filipinos will stop considering going abroad um, as a means to earn income, right? Because it's possible to earn whatever it is here, right? So I've been building that up for 8 years, and suddenly, boom! All signs point to stop, 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 rest, 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 right? So it's it's been crazy having to deal with that on a very personal level, because when people see me, I mean, they're like, yeah man, but your business is running fine. Yeah man, you have all these amazing mentors. Yeah man, blah blah blah. um in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? I'm technically at the top, right? Self
Self
actualization and
actualization.
transcendence,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the foundation of everything that I did was shaky, right? So that was a huge red flag, right? For
Yeah.
me, in terms of relationships. Oh, and here's the fun part, right? What does a red flag? And for me, this is the best example now. When you have life figured out, for me, in terms of relationships, um, I know what I don't want anymore, right? Before I was like, sure, I what's the word I'm looking for? Sure, if it's love, it's love. We'll work on it. Blah 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 blah. And then suddenly I realize, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to deal with this, right? I now have red flag. The red flags itself has become the boundary, right? Of what should and what I want and all of that. And that has actually stopped me from womanizing. For context, what's the word I'm looking for? I have polyamorous tendencies. Okay, and
Hmm. Yeah.
however, I'm very honest. I never lie, right? Sa mga baka I might get hate from all the women here, right?
Yeah.
I never
I
lie.
understand. Yeah. They
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
You're very
they know.
transparent with them.
I'm very transparent.
You
Yeah,
tell them upfront. Yeah.
even before the relationship starts, right? It's a warning sign. Hey, here's my personal red flag. Oh, you
Yeah.
can actually give a red flag to somebody in advance. That's actually quite interesting. That just occurred to me right now, right? So it actually helped, right? I've stopped entertaining women as well because of certain experiences, which is crazy, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, from here I just want to say that red flags, again, are very subjective things, right? You can see them what you want to see it as. However, what I encourage most people to do is to disassociate the emotion behind that, right? Because some people would see a red flag and say, yeah, what if they reject me, right?
Oh.
Diba? Or another red flag is, yeah, I want to start this business but it's too risky, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Gets.
If it has something to do with spirituality, for example, a lot of spiritual exploration actually is done outside of church. And
Hmm.
sometimes and for people who grew up religiously, you have to defy some sort of lesson from whatever religious indoctrination you have, right? So yeah, I want to be more with God, but then what if my community starts hating me? That's a red flag, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that, man? Also, thank you, Sir Gerald. Evening.
Good evening, Gerald in the house. Okay. Yeah. So, what do I think about that? It reminded me of a lesson I learned in June 2019. So I was taking this quantum leap program, and then the lead trainer that time, Alex Mandoshan. It's weird
Oh yeah,
because it was
Alex.
about business. It was guerrilla business intensive, the seminar. But he shared a life lesson that I think is universal. So he said, win win. or no deal at all.
Hmm.
So, for example, when it comes to, I won't jump to spirituality at once. I'll go relationships first. So, one of the red flags I learned from personal experience was I got feedback. So, I was told I was a doormat. So, like someone who just gets stepped over, something like that. So, lack of personal boundaries, like that. Also, um, it's when it comes to that win-win thing, there was one red flag. I had no idea what it was that time. It was called codependence.
Codependence. Hmm.
So codependence is that stereotypical "I can't live without you," and it's closely linked to learned helplessness, um, not knowing how to be self-sufficient or abundant, deeper roots going down, not having a mission or like a purpose in life, something like that, which I've been figuring out over the years. So that red flag, like codependence relationship, it can actually become win-win. So how? Like again, you shared earlier in your relationships. I don't judge whether the person is polyamorous like that. Like if I met a partner, a woman, and then she has a lot of, friends or something like that, it it's really up to how the vision, or this might sound very politically incorrect. I'll just say it. There's
Yeah, yeah.
always
It's okay.
yeah, there's always a value exchange. And I'm not saying this like a user friendly. So Tony Robbins, when I attended Date with Destiny, yeah. See, so those are the solutions: transparency and honesty. Those are solutions to the red flag. So when I took that higher level seminar of Tony Robbins,
Yeah,
Date
date
with
with this
Destiny,
man.
yeah, for relationships, it also teaches things like polarity. Like for example, again, this is a very personal sharing. I didn't know why I would get attracted to like alpha females. They're like women with strong personalities like that.
Why
And
not?
I have a friend who's like an alpha stereotypical male, like caveman, like like that. He- I think he would. His polarity is more for like a feminine woman, something like that. Some who's more submissive, something like that. So I had to learn those lessons to get to the win-win of the red flag. So spirituality, again, I, I'll just share. I grew up with religion shoved down my throat. Roman Catholic, memorized catechism points at a young age, like that. And again, when I found that Brian Tracy short, 1 hour seminar, he explained something. He said religions, and Brian Tracy's from like the North America side, like that. So it
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't matter which
Love
country
him.
you come from. Yeah, he he said he was raised by a Catholic mother, and one thing that religion does is they use guilt and shame for two reasons: manipulation and control. So that really messes up a person. Now, I'm not saying religion is bad or good or anything. Sometimes it works for people. I realized at a point it wasn't working for me. So red flag. I don't want to live the rest of my life feeling guilty, like a mistake, like I'm condemned to hell. Uh, so yeah, I had to, for that red flag, I had to like search for a win-win for myself. So I found links like growing up. They did teach freedom of religion, meaning they respect others. Again, whether you're a Muslim, Hindu, we get exposed to other people like that. So the red flag can turn actually into something helpful versus something that will kind of put us in a prison or repeat more mistakes like red flags. And then, like a mentor told me, his term was, it's like you have your face grounded, like on the ground by the bootprint of life. So it's like someone is stepping on your face for the rest of your life. So what a way to live, no? I mean, that's if we ignore the red flags, or we can do the other way, which is find a win-win. So that's
Yeah.
that's what I was learning.
And actually, that I think this is now's the perfect time to transition as well, right? We've talked about um, what happens when you ignore red flags. We've talked about what we can learn from red flags, right? And
Yeah,
surprisingly, we even learned that you can give away red flags willingly.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, and I really like what you said. Yung sabi mo, ano tawag, either win-win or no deal, right? Um, I also took GBI, Guerrilla Business Intensive, pero hindi ko yan naalala, which is a really good reminder. Thank you. Um, but now let's transition naman. What would happen if you can afford to take red flags? And what would happen if you can afford to ignore red flags moving forward, right? So
hmm,
and this is gonna be very interesting because here's the thing, right? Red flags, and more often than not, is just a for me, it's just our brain's way of communicating. Do this, and there might be consequences,
yeah,
right? But for some people, they already associate pain with the consequence because of trauma, because of what's happened, because of past experiences, like what you just mentioned earlier, guilt, shame, etc.
yeah,
Yeah. But what's gonna happen if we can be brave enough to ignore the red flags and actually do it, right? Or if you can afford to do it. Um, and I'll be the devil's advocate now and say pretty amazing shit, right? You can actually do pretty amazing shit. For example, um, when you're starting a new business, okay, there will always be a lot of new red flags. For example, let's start a business in the Philippines today, right? What's the
yeah.
red flag? Number one, our economy. Number two, our sorry, I'm sorry for whoever you voted for, but our freaking president is a walking red flag, right? I would prefer the trigger happy one over our current one, right? But okay, that's another thing. Next, when you hire employees, local law will always favor your employees over you, the employer, right? So there's a huge gap you need to bridge before you actually become profitable. Okay, lots of red flags, right? But if you're able to afford it, and when I say afford it, I don't mean money. Okay, so people actually um, pay in other ways, right? Time, experience. People sometimes pay in time. Some people pay in experience. Some people pay with their bullshit. Okay? And I say this very positively because when I was starting business, um, I paid in bullshit because there are a lot of things that I did in the past that I'm never gonna do now. For example, I will never. um, I'll just share this, right? Are you familiar with that magnetic products that they sell for like 15,000 plus? You
Oh,
wear it and
which
then you
one is
become
this
powerful.
for your health?
Yeah, yeah. Are you
Okay.
familiar with those? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I sold trinkets like that before to people. I would go out of town with no money and come back with like an investor that paid 288,000, right? For at the age of 16, I
wow.
would talk to I would talk to mayors and be very. I get sales because of my spunk, right?
Yeah,
Not because I was good at selling, but because I was brave, right? However, that time in my life, I was the decay. I was a piece of shit. You know, like a bona fide deck. My team members, despite being trained properly, would leave me alone. I would leave my team because they couldn't handle me.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Tapos there was even a time very recently where I had to learn to let go of other people's what other people do, basically, and just give and just serve, right, without expectations. I had to learn that at a very at a very early age, and that was the price I paid for whatever red flags. Kasi what did I do? I ended up joining a Ponzi scheme. I ended
Mm,
up dropping out. I ended up losing losing um, opportunities with women that would have been really good as wives, right? Etc. etc. So yun, I'll end it there, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts, man.
yeah, yeah. So what you shared is really interesting. I like your example, like business and then even shifting, relating to relationship. So this is what you made me realize just now. There are there are red flags that are, I guess you could say, like, avoid these at all costs. And then
Mm.
there are some, I'll have to clarify it. So I learned this from Ray Dalio. He wrote the book Principles. He's like this billionaire hedge fund guy. He said there's a difference between first order consequences and second order consequences.
Ooh.
So we think that the first order consequence is a red flag to avoid. For example, if we go to the gym and we work out, you're gonna destroy your body. Literally, your fibers are gonna tear
Yes.
internally. If you were a scientist freak and you had an X-ray or MRI, whatever, it's like you're destroying your body. Kulang na lang, you're like getting a razor blades, right, and cutting yourself. So that's a first order consequence. But the second order consequence is, it's actually if you don't exercise, whatever way, walking, go to the gym, do yoga, stuff like that. The irony is your body will decay or atrophy. Like if you don't put yourself through that first order pain, your body will get messed up. So this is what I learned from, I am learning from depression since 2014. It's if I don't take care of my mental health, I didn't know what the hell gratitude journaling was. I think I've been doing that for at least 1 to 2 years every day. Check my Facebook profile if you want proof or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
So if I
You
don't
should
do
you should actually check his profile. Yeah. But
mhm,
continue, man.
if I didn't do that, I probably would. My mind would feel like it's like it would just implode. Like want to kill myself or something like that. Again, not a lot of people can handle that. Like just saying it directly, but that's what it would really feel like. There are some down days. I had one recently. So I'll just clarify that for red flags. So like a first order consequence could be relationships. So girls could be crazy, guys too. But this is not a guy girl thing. Like it's not
Yeah,
like a
everyone is
stereotype
crazy.
thing. But so a girl can, like, if she gets angry, be a messing, she could throw a plate at you, throw a chair, key your car, whatever, diba? Connive with her hairdresser. You hear funny stories. But then the second order consequence is there's actually a greater good to that. That's what makes it worth it. Now I'm not saying get into a relationship, get married just because. It takes time, it takes experience, maturity to reach a point. Why? So I thought this was shallow before, but then
Tell that to my best friend, man. Tell that to my best friend. Anyways, continue. Yeah.
correct. Yeah. So like I'm observing this. Women in their 30s or mid 30s. This is not just here in the country, even abroad. They tend to want to have a child because it will be much harder later on in their 40s, their 50s, like that. If that's something they value, having a child, having a family, being a mother, something like that. Whereas
What?
like a woman in her a girl like in her teens or in her 20s, most likely will not want to settle down, something like that. So you could choose your own adventure if, again, whether you're polyamorous or monogamous, you just wanted to experience the relationship, then follow the red flag accordingly. That's what I would share for that. And you mentioned a good one for business. So the last example, red flags could be that economy, the president, uh, barriers, the BIR. For me, as a life insurance agent, my deadline for my license renewal, we renew our license with the insurance commission. So every 3 years, my deadline is tomorrow. That's a red flag.
Holy
If I
crap!
don't comply with that and my license expires, it will be illegal for me to operate,
Yeah.
just like a business permit, the uh, PRC, a license of a doctor, something like that. So there are certain red flags wherein, yeah, the second order consequence, it's really not worth it to do it. So here, this is the final example to clarify second order versus first order. A mentor taught me this. It's like the deal with the devil.
Mm.
If you take something like drugs, for example, stereotypical example, a lot to relate. The first order consequence is you feel good, you feel high, you feel good emotions in the start. But the second order consequence is it will destroy you 10 times or 100 times more than it gave you that high at the start. So that's the type of red flag to not do. It's not worth it. But if you have a red flag or just a first order consequence, we're in business, I'll go through pain, I'll go through hardship, I'll go through hustle. Second order consequence is it's not just the money, like you said, it will make you a better person. Industrious, resourceful, independent, self sufficient. If the government collapses, you're still going to stand strong, something like that. That's what Jim Rohn said, right? He's a mentor of Tony Robbins. He said, I used to have this long list. I'll go back to you after this, Chris. I used to have this long list of reasons why I wasn't successful. So my boss, the company, the government, like that. And then his mentor, Earl Shove, said he read the long list. Very patient. He said,
Holy
uh,
crap!
"Yeah, this is a long list, but I don't see one name here. Actually, you missed one." And Jim Rohn said, "Wow, what did I miss?" He said, "You,
Boom.
your name is not on the list." So that's what he did. He tore up his list and he only wrote one thing, me, and he posted up on his wall, his ref every day. So the red flag is it's up to me, like to change my life, or to build something that I could control or get better, something anti-fragile, something like that. So yeah, I think that's the difference of red flags. I just wanna discern. Some are first order lang, first order consequence. Like to do this live, man. Oh man, I have to overcome uh the fear of like people watching us, judgment of others or judging myself. That the second order consequence is, man, maybe there's a bigger purpose for this. I might learn something from Chris. Maybe Chris will also get clarity, realization for himself. Maybe it will help someone. Maybe it might help save someone's life, financially, relationship wise, like that. So second order consequence makes it worth it. So yeah, I just wanted to like share that.
That was perfect. Honestly, how many of you know watching here have any more questions or got so much value? If you got value, share in the comments, right? And if you guys have a question, right, in the next minute or so, we would answer that. But for me, honestly, with how Martin put that out there, um, don't forget that out of all the red flags, you're the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
You.
And while you're looking through the comments, Krista, one last thing I want to share, because you said affording to avoid red flags. So the way I understand that also is we can't uh we can't be everything. So all the time to everyone like that, right? So let's say Michael Jordan, or for basketball, I'll give another example. Let's say Ray Lewis. So he's like one of my favorite NFL players. So he's actually a Baltimore Ravens. He was like their captain. He was kind of unique because usually the Hall of Famers, the star players of an NFL, like a football team, is the quarterback. He was a defensive guy, so very rare, like to actually
Mm.
do that. So he really focused his life on. He came from a hard background, but then he focused on his life on his work ethic, his gym, like his health, his he called NFL his business,
Mm.
because his deeper purpose actually was he became that person so that no man can ever hurt his mom again, because his mother, when as he was growing up as a kid, his mother was beaten up by his stepdad or stepfathers, something like that. So he focused his life on that. It doesn't mean that he couldn't avoid other red flags, other relationships. He's had multiple wives or partners, and then kids with different women. And he admitted in an interview that it's a generational curse, because his father also was kind of like that, his grandfather. He wasn't using it as an excuse. He was saying it helps to understand our roots. Then you understand and you see the red flags more clearly. Now, am I gonna blame Ray Lewis that he didn't fix his relationships at the same time as career, business, health? Like, hell no. Parang he's a legend, man. Like Hall of Famer and all. It's we can't handle all the red flags like in a lifetime society.
Yes.
So I just wanted to clarify that. That's why your title topic was really good. It's affording to avoid red flags. But what will I focus on right now? Because it's the more critical, or it aligns with my values, so I'm gonna work on that. For example, right now my income is shit for work, career, but I'm focusing on my health, mental, emotional. I just don't want to be like a freaking basket case or something, because I've seen people who earn a lot of money, but they're less stable than me.
Yes.
They can't go without a day of drinking, going like to a massage parlor, paying stuff, gambling, something like that. So I'm just happy I'm out of jail, man. Like, I'm just, and this is a real thing. Some people think it's a joke. I know someone who did go to jail because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, and that person kind of hits close to home. I know this guy. So, and he seemed like a good guy, like at heart. So again, work on the red flags that are the most critical, important to you, because they align with your values. Maybe it's your mission, it's your dharma, like your destiny in life right now to work on that. And then other red flags. Uh, Last thing I could share before I go back to you is sometimes we get by with little help from our friends, from angels, from strangers. So if I'm almost gonna get hit by like a truck blindsided, someone says, "Hey man, wait." I turn around and then the freaking truck just like goes past the road. I miss it by a second and I go, like, what's up? Then he goes, take care, man. He
Hmm.
doesn't even know he saved your fucking life. Or she did. So I truly believe that. Like there are other people sometimes who look out for us on red flags.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
get this car, man. Yeah, back to you.
Well, on people who look out for red flags. In my case, I have too many, and some of them are too. What's the word I'm looking for? They love me so much that they they would get angry for me. So I'm scared for people who actually do something. So it's a fun.
Well, yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
if this will help, man. I just feel the tug. It's also good to allow people to suffer. So this is gonna get really personal again. I haven't talked to her openly. I wish maybe one day. But this is the way I'm learning to understand how my 9 year relationship ended. Sometimes the other person has to allow the other one to suffer for me to learn. Because if I didn't, like, some people will say I wish the relationship and or like it lasted forever. But then what if I didn't learn all that? Codependence, be a chump, be married, but then be a mediocre man.
or being in prison in a different sense.
Yeah, like a cock, or there's so many
Yeah,
derogatory terms like that, right? So what's worse when you say ignoring the red flags is the person doesn't even know what's happening, and then they're just aloof. They're just like a leaf in the wind, man. They don't know what's going on, and then it's like a rich person. He doesn't know that everyone around him is just stealing his money, and he's not even aware of the red flag. So it's like, what a way to live, man. Like, so yeah, I think sometimes it helps to let the person suffer in a good way, like feel it to learn the lesson. And as a friend or someone around you, I would rather not control you, man.
yeah.
That would only lead to like a worse road, man. How I learned.
That in all honesty, the people who actually, I just have so much respect for anyone who has allowed me to suffer and who cared and allowed me to suffer. So I learned, right? Um,
Correct, correct, yeah.
and that just makes me trust those people more, right? Because the not every time that you have to be saved, you should be saved. Exactly what you just said. But something very interesting I just want to bring up, um,
Yeah,
with what you said earlier, right? Focus on the red flags or things that you value the most, right?
yeah.
Because if you focus on everything, um, you can't focus on everything in one lifetime. There's actually this story where, um, and I'm gonna go meta on this, right? There's actually this story where, there's also a lot of spiritual principles that support this, right? If you're familiar with this spiritual term, tat tavam asi, it means I am that I am. Um,
Mm.
it means that you and me and everything, even this bottle of water that looks like wine, right? Am I Jesus? Joke. I'm joking. Uh, anyways, um, it, are one and the same, right? However, we are just when we die, we choose what to focus on the next life, and we actually choose who our parents are, who just our parents, and we don't choose our siblings. Ironically, um, according to this spiritual whatever, right? We choose our parents are. We also choose where we live, right? Based on what we need to learn. So, um, and that's pretty much it, right? In this life, whatever you have, and and that's why you have to focus on things that you value the most, because that's the lesson that you need to learn the most in this life. Now, for example, um, what would happen if you're trying to learn how to manage money, and then what's the word I'm looking for? Um, and then you didn't learn this in your lifetime. Okay, will you become poorer or richer in your next life? What do you think, man? Poorer or richer?
My guess is poorer because it's like a karmic cycle.
Yeah, it's
So
like a karmic cycle, right? But
yeah,
according to this belief, oh, it's Kabbalah, by the way. It's a
mhm.
story from Kabbalah. According to them, they would give you more of what you don't understand. So in your next life, instead of becoming poorer, they will give you more money. Okay,
Mm.
because with more money, you become more desensitized. You need more awareness to handle something like that. So you become richer
Ooh.
and richer and richer the moment that you don't learn that. But at the same time, since you're not learning what you're supposed to be learning, you also feel empty. You also
Yeah,
try, yeah, like what who's this guy again? A Mind Valley guy, money
Vision
gratitude.
Lakiani,
Yeah. No, no, no. The Ken Honda, right? This is what Ken
Ken
Honda says,
Honda.
right?
But
Ask a millionaire if he's rich, he will say no, right? Ask a guy with a plane if he's rich, he will say no because that guy has a bigger plane. So you know, let's end there before we go beyond another rabbit hole. So yeah, right. So I hope everyone is learning.
yeah,
Miss
it's
A,
really good topic, man. Red flags and figuring out life.
yeah, and Miss A actually said hi in one of our comments. Hello, Miss A.
Hello.
Um, yeah. So this is the end of it. Thank you, Martin, for this chill conversation. And if you guys like this in any way, just comment. Right, let us know if you want more talks like this. We didn't even have really a concrete plan, right, prior to doing any of this. So yun lang. Thank you
Free
and good
flowing.
night.
Also, yeah,